Hello, my friends. It's always such a good day out here in the quilting studio. I'm glad you're joining me yet again. I've got Kathy Jenkins quilt up here on the quilting bed, so vibrant and bright. I love everything about it. It just brings me joy just staring at it. And the more I look at it, the more I see. You can kind of see the pinwheels right here. And when I look at it, I can see blocks that are created. I see an optical illusion. So enjoy all of the movement that she has on her quilt right here. Couple of extra borders that she added. Nicely done. You can see how nice and straight they are. If they're that straight, what did she do? What did she do? Quiz friends. She measured a couple of different times from somewhere in the center area of the quilt. Then she cut the border to fit that size. Pin in the center and on the edges, and kind of forced it to fit, I call it, to have it straight and nice like that. When she put her sashings and borders together and she had to do some splicing, she did that on the diagonal. Nicely done. When you do that, the eye travels over it much better than if you have it at a straight splice. We talked about a design to go on here because there's so much happening. You're not able to see a lot of the design or the color, but she did choose to do the hearts and loops. This is going to be for her son in Alaska, and she's going to show some love to him with the hearts and loops. We did it in my electric blue, which is a fantastic, gorgeous color of thread, shiny a little bit there on the top. Totally fun color. The backing actually is a very light minky. You can kind of see as I pet it this way, it goes nice and flat. As I pet it this way, you can see how it brings it up. We don't want to do that. So it is a minky. Minkies do stretch. When I have a minky, I really need those 3 inches on each side. And the larger the quilt, the more I need. And the more stretchy the minky, the more it's going to hammock in the center. This one is not as stretchy as some, and so it isn't hammocking a whole lot. I have lots of space to be able to work, which is awesome. But sometimes I have it dipping way in the center, and we don't want to pull it out because we need to work with the natural fibers that the minky offers. So you definitely want to have at least those full 3 inches. And again, with minky, I need more. Give me 4, give me 5 inches, and you can see that we've got 5, 6, 7, even 8 inches left on each side. Now, having said that, this was a minky that was only 60 inches wide, and it had a large selvage in which couldn't be used. I mean, you can see we've got a good 1.5 inches right there of selvage. So that part can't even be included. So it was way less than 60 inches. We're talking about 58 inches maybe of usable space. And then that doesn't include any 3 inches on each side that I'm able to attach to the machine. That's just barely the usable size. Well, the quilt is 64 inches square. So at a minimum, I needed a 70-inch run. A minimum. But as you can see, that's not what I'm going to get right here, because a 60-inch minky minus the 3 inches at the top and the bottom, minus this 1.5 inches for the well, I could use that in the grabbing, so that would be okay, but still, it just was not large enough. So she left it with me. It was a long piece of minky, so I trimmed off the extra, cut it into the strips that I needed, and then let me pull this up right here and show you what happened. I spliced it together. Let's see here. Give me just a second. Working this with one hand. I'm the cameraman, I'm the actor, we got everything going. So I left this nice big seam right here. You know that if you leave your selvage on and you leave a nice wide seam, you can leave that selvage there. That's fine. Also, a minky doesn't have the same weave on the selvage as another form of cotton fabric because it's created differently. So it's not as stiff and intense. So that's okay. But I had to actually cut the long end off, splice it into 2 pieces, connect those, and then connect them the long way onto the back so that there was enough to be able to finish up her quilt. keeping in mind that the Minky has the directional nap. So these two had to match, and they had to match when they connected over to this side. So not only had there been a lot of cutting, and you know that with Minky, you have all those little flyaway pieces, so I cut it outside, but not only that, I had to watch the way the nap was going. So there's a lot to be aware of when you are not having quite enough backing and you're trying to connect it together. And then you can see that as I'm coming down to that section, I'm keeping that nice and wide open to be able to give as much disbursement of that seam as possible. You won't even know that it's there because I only have 2 layers on each side. Had I folded that over, you would have a really wide area of 3 layers plus only 1 on this side. So I'm dispersing the difference all the way across. I have one more great run to go, and then this beauty will be finished up. I'm sure her son Alaska is going to love it. Look what it says on the back right there. I love you to the moon and back. Wish upon a star. Hope your wishes come true. You are loved big and small, so loved by all. So that was one of the reasons that she wanted to go with the hearts, was because she's showing love to her son. Now, again, she has that Minky on the back. That's going to be cuddly, especially for Alaska. And then I put a fairly thick batting in it to just give it all the extra warmth that her son will be able to enjoy. I do have a thinner batting that may have been nice on a quilt like this, especially going to somebody that already has a Minky back on it, but because it's going to Alaska, I did put my thicker batting in there to give all of the warmth possible.